All right. So this first trade here happened on Sunday night. So Sunday, actually afternoon in Pacific time was around 5 p.m. And you can see here, let's actually zoom out a little bit. You can see I took this on the NQ. You can see that what's happened here is that there was some challenging news with respect to the Iran conflict, and stock opened, the market opened on Sunday afternoon significantly lower than it had closed on Friday afternoon. So you see, it was a huge drop all the way down to sub 25,000, and then so this was the hourly. So the first hour was a big red candle, and then the first green candle starting to build a little bit of wicks from 24,914 ish area, and where I got in here was right above this hourly candle, with the view to trying to expecting it to bounce a little bit and close some of this gap. So what I'll do here is I got in at 24,972, I think it was. Let me see if I can actually find that spot. What was it? 24,972. Now I'm not exactly sure. So that was what happened is I was a little bit late to get into this. And what had happened is after this bar closed, it was like 5 past 5, not right on the dot of 5. And by that point it had dropped down a little bit. So I ended up getting it at a slight discount. So let me see if I can actually start to play this forward slightly and advance the speed a bit. Now I'm going to put the buy in right where I got it, 24,972. There we go. And so it sunk down a little bit to pick me up there. And so here, let's let it play. Filled. There we are. And then, just to be clear, the low here, so this was 100 handles. This is on the NQ now, so every point is worth $2. On the, so this is 100 points. And I didn't need to take the full 100 points. This is 14 plus 20, or in this case, minus 20, to give myself a little bit of buffer. So 24,894, which I think is a $78 point risk, which is roughly $156, which is a bit more than what I would normally like to take, but this is the NQ and I'm trading on the hourly, so I always have to take a little bit more because the confidence is higher. But of course, if I'm wrong, it costs a little bit more. Nevertheless, that was something I felt like it was appropriate to take. So we're gonna go with that. I'm gonna look now. I'm gonna monitor this probably on the 5 minute, which would be right about here. So let's just make this a bit bigger so we can follow it. And let's let it go. So here we have, now remember with the NQ, once it moves 50 points in the positive direction, it pulls the stop to break even. So fairly quickly, it started moving in a good direction here. So I'm already locking in some gains. And what I tend to do in this instance is I tend to follow the 5 minute bars. So now it's already trailing, but I'm going to follow the 5 minute bars, and let's let this go. It ended up doing pretty well here, and I think we just move this right up to the bottom of this one. I don't remember where I got out. I ended up getting a total of 93 points. So we've got a little ways to go here. Let's let it play a bit. Now I think I would have moved this up here to the bottom of this candle there. Now I can't quite tell. So 72 would have been 85 is probably where I would end up getting out. So this isn't it yet. Let's let this keep going. Okay, fair enough. So let me move this up here. 61. So it still have a ways to go. Okay, hold on. Let's get this up here. So that is 66. Still hasn't stopped out. Okay, you know what? I think I ended up, so 66. Oh, that's right. So 72 to 66. So I actually think I got it at 65, if my math is correct. I got 93 points. So this is almost right. That was 94 points, I think. In any case, it's around 180 yeah, I got $186, and this thing's showing 188. Yeah, so that's roughly what I did, and I think it was 1 point different. But that's so this was a nice little Sunday afternoon slash evening trade, and you can see this was just sort of filling in some of that gap. In fact, if I go back to the original hourly, you can see that it was filling in that gap. Now, if I had had more than one contract, this would have been a great opportunity to take one contract at the 100 points and leave the second contract in to try to grab 200 points. And so let me just for fun, I didn't do this, but just for fun, let's suppose that I had done that. So the first contract would have been sold at 100 points, which is at 25,072. So I'm going to go and pretend that I'm buying that I had a second one and see if this would have triggered at the 272. So let's just leave that in there and see what would have happened. Now, of course, this, like I said, this didn't actually happen. I only got 93 points and I was out with a $186 gain. But let's just leave that for fun and see if this would have picked up the second target there. Because it's always interesting to see, if you don't go and stop yourself out, what would have happened? So we'll let this run for a little bit. These are hourly bars, so you can see that it's taking its time to try to figure out what it's doing in the overnight hours here. But broadly speaking, it looks like it's marching up. The thing I don't know is, since this is trailing at 50 handles, would that have stopped it out before it got to this target? I actually don't know. And so let's have a look and see. Now, there's nothing that says you have to trail this, by the way. Most people don't trail it. I only do this so that I don't have to pay attention to it. It locks in some of the gain because I only intend to spend about an hour a day paying attention to this. After that, I got things to do, so I'm not going to do that. I got work to do. I'll just let it run on its own. That's why okay. So it would not have made it all the way up, but it would have locked in another 100 and change. Let's see. 072, it would have locked in another 72, another 73 points. So it would have been another $146 on top of that I would have achieved. So yeah, you know what? Having that second contract would have helped. On the other hand, if I'd been wrong, I would have lost twice as much. But it's always nice to see, okay, that would have worked. And indeed, if I hadn't stopped myself out, it would have, well, 272. Too early to say that. If it makes it up to here, then it would have triggered my second target. I'm not sure if it did make it that far. Always interesting to see if it did. Now, I happen to know that going into this morning, because this was last night, going into this morning, it definitely shot up there. But all right, here we go. There it is. Yeah. So certainly in the overnight hours leading into this morning, I definitely would have made my 200 points if I'd stuck with it and not stopped out. However, regardless, I made my first 93 on it, and that's still pretty good for trading one contract. There's only so much you can do with one contract. Now, that was the first trade. Now let me fast forward to this morning, and in fact, we're already in this morning. So when did I take a trade? Now I took a trade at 6:45. Okay, now, so you see all of it shooting up right there. Well, now let's. If you factor in my my thesis this morning was that I thought after this big run up in here and we saw this big red candle that it was due to pull back a bit. And so I ended up so far from taking a long, I ended up this morning at 7:00 in the morning taking a short, or at 6:45, I guess. So let me, and you can well imagine taking a short at that time was not, did not work out well for me. But let's just find the spot where I got in here. 6:45. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, okay. And I did all of this on the 15 minutes. So I'm going to go and zoom in on the 15 minute here. So at 6:45, which is about 4 minutes away, I put in a sell order right about there. So what is that? 25172. I had 25171. All right, let's move that down one. There. That's exactly where I got in. Now you know how this is going to end. This is not a pretty story for me. So let's let it play. So I figured, okay, on the, it was a solid red 15-minute candle, and getting in below that 15-minute candle seemed like a reasonable thing to do. And, most days I'm going to take that trade. And so if you look over here on the 5-minute, hey, this looks pretty good. This looks like, yeah, you know what? This was a nice wick coming off of this level here. We've got, we've got a strong red, and not mind you, it's a big red, a bit wick on the bottom of that red, which wasn't a good thing for going short. But then it made it back up again. It was down here again with another red, and then it picked it up. So you know what? This is a reasonable setup. And so, and we've had what, 9 up days or something like that well, at least a number recently, a large number of up days recently. We're due for a red day. So all of this is in aid of saying this was a reasonable setup that I took here. And so no reason why I wouldn't do that. Let me, by the way, move this stop down to where it would have been at 59, because it's 39 plus 20. So there. All right. So let's let this go. And in this case, I'm risking 88. So this is moving in the right direction. But then we have a problem. We have a problem. We have a big, solid green bar going against. This is not good. So I ended up, funny enough, getting out of this early. So let's let this 15-minute bar close. Oh no, it's no. You know what I actually did is I ended up getting out of this early, and I think what I had done is over on the 5-minute. Now this is not really showing it very well, is it? I don't think it was. Yeah, you know what? This is just a big move up. I ended up exiting this thing. No, I didn't get out of it early. I got hit for the full 88. Yeah, so I took my full 88-point loss. $166 against. So funny enough, I gave back all but $20 of last night's win. And that's unfortunate. But here's the funny thing. I actually don't feel that bad about this trade. It moved against me, but it was a legitimate setup. Let's contrast that with the trade that I made Friday, where I executed incorrectly. That really annoys me because it was an unforced error. I didn't need to mess that up. That was me just being dumb. In this case, this is not me being dumb. This was a legitimate setup. I had reasons for me to put on the trade. I did put on the trade. I lost on the trade. Oh well. You know what? That's the way it goes sometimes. So I'm not too upset about that. I have a stop there for a reason. I got stopped out. Fair enough. Live to fight another day. So net, I had a good trade on Sunday night. I had an unfortunate trade on Monday morning. It ended up basically canceling out the one from the previous day. So I'm essentially even at this point in the day. Unfortunate, but that's life. So I'm gonna stop this video here. I'm gonna do another video in a minute on the ES trades that I took next, and those ones were also losses. And again, also legitimate setup. So I'll get into that on the next video.